August 5th, 2021, 11:15 a.m. I'm just going to do a short recap of the day today rather than live trade stuff. And so starting here in the morning, we had come down and we were opening, and pre-market we were in value, in range. The overnight session had kind of traded back and forth, pretty volatile, but in balance. So we were having these large swings. So I got to the market at about 6, a little before 6 actually, and expectation was that we were going to come down and test the lows, the low day, the overnight low. And so here I was so I was at the screen when we had this large supply imbalance down, and we came down and we just low ticked this by 1 tick and pretty aggressively came out of this. And something that I was looking at on this, especially on the number bars, is this was definitely an unfair price here when we came back down into this zone, into this low here. And what happened was right here. We could see something that I noticed is that there was a large amount of volume put in here, but then this to me seemed like more of an exhaustive move, not really absorption, so showing that there were definitely aggressive buyers down here. And then we shot out of this area, and then we came back down again here at the open and came out of that pretty aggressively as well. So my first long try was after we did come down here, but I didn't get long until this try when we had this kind of this fake out here at 6:30. So I got long in here after this push. So we'd say my context read probably is not very good. I did get some positive equity on this trade. My expectation was to come back up and test the upper side, because to me what I saw is we were in this value area here. So I saw this is the upper value, kind of a value area, build balance up here. So we were kind of came up into here, and my expectation was that we would come up and test and push through and test the upper side here, possibly all the way up into the overnight highs. That didn't happen. We got a pretty sharp rejection and a high tick here. So at this point, when we came up into the 75, I went to break even and I was taken out. So about 14 ticks of positive equity. So the trade went 14 ticks in my favor before coming back and taking me out. And then my next trade was a short at 708, and that was right after the open. So we came down and coming back down. So this was somewhat definitely counter context with the strong demand that we had seen at the lows here. So, but my thinking at the time was that we pushed down here into this demand and came back up, and we got this push here. So 708, I entered on this push bar here right around here at 03. So that was right around in here. With my expectation again here was to test, if there's large buyers here, that we would come down and test below these lows and possibly come down and test this. Again, somewhat counter context being that with the strong demand, and I talked to Kelly about this as well, with the strong demand that we saw here at these lows, it didn't really support the short concept. So fortunately I was able to get my risk off when we low ticked this. Another trade that went basically 15 ticks. I think I had 15 ticks of equity in that one as well. So it didn't, but it didn't do that. So being that I'm looking at where my trade locations are here, being long here at the very swing high and then short here at the very swing low, probably not a very good read. So I definitely struggled with that. And then as well, my next trade was the long, and that was at 7:30.21, and we had the strong imbalance and demand push here, and then we pushed back up into this previous value here. So we formed supply here at 728, took out on this push, we took out the supply. So at this time, on a pullback to this 20, this area, I got long. And then we had basically all the way up into this 52 area this was untested here. So my target for this area was to take it off into that 50, and that's exactly what I did. So it was a nice 28 tick win there at 49. So this is when I began to struggle a little bit. I know that we had the definitely strong buying at the lows here, but then after we pushed up and tested the overnight high here, my convictions for the longs were not as good as in the live session. Like Kelly was definitely had expectations of seeing higher prices. I didn't really understand that as much because I saw this all here as value. This was all kind of yesterday's value. This is the lower distribution and the upper distribution. So to me, when we came up into and came up and tested the overnight high here at about 8 o'clock and we rejected, to me that seemed like we were failing that area. So after the price came all the way back down here, didn't respect the 70 here, didn't respect this pivot area here, came all the way back down below value, and I had a hard time kind of understanding the long context to come up and break this. So Kelly ended up taking a really nice trade here, and I passed on this one. I was just watching it because we came down all the way into, my expectation was to come down to test this. This was our final demand zone here, untested demand here, and we came down below. But we did respect this structure. And then we had this last bit of increased volume supply and then a push here, and this is the trade. This was kind of the trigger for the trade here, and a real nice trade up through here. And then I did have one more try here, and that was here on this. We came up, pushed down, and I was trying to trade off of this structure. So supply here and a push here, and I had an entry at about, after this guy, at 61 was my try, and I didn't get the fill. Didn't quite get the pullback. We only pulled back to 64 here. And then my target on this one was into the 99. And that was based on this, definitely this weak high here, and to flush this into the 69. So one tick in front of that, so that would have been a 38 tick win there. So also considered taking this here, this long here, and I passed on it just because it seemed like we were still kind of below this supply, and we hadn't pushed and taken out the supply yet, so I passed. But 87, 88 was a valid try, and my target on that was into the 20, and that's what you can see. This has just hit that, so would have been another really nice win. So overall, good day, happy with it. Plus 30 with one win and 2 break evens. So